Hello everyone, my name is Amin Nikanjan, Research Associate at Polytechnique Montreal. Today I'm going to present you the challenge of ReproduceML, an empirical study on the impact of bugs, which has been done by Emilio Rivera-Landos, Professor Futscom, and me at Polytechnique Montreal. Nowadays, machine learning-based system has been widely used to solve problems in various domains. Such systems are a combination of three different domains: machine learning, which concerns about designing and training ML models; computer systems, which provides infrastructure to run those systems; and software engineering, which usually concerns with deployment issues. Therefore, research on machine learning system goes beyond a simple research of best model or getting the best result from a model. Usually, such systems share the same challenges of all those disciplines and perhaps raise new challenges. One of the challenges in machine learning system is reproducibility, when we try to obtain the same computational result using the same setup, but by another thing. With a stated precision, we are dealing with reproducibility. Unfortunately, currently we are observing reproducibility crisis in the community. I mean, usually we found it difficult to reproduce the same result of research and scientific studies. Actually, it is a methodological phenomenon. For the particular case of machine learning, we need to disclose the exact setup that has been used to reproduce the result. When it comes to reproduce some scientific result, there are three different terms: reproducibility, replicability, and repeatability. By repeatability, we are talking about a situation where the same team, using the same experimental setup, try to repeat their own result. In the case of reproducibility, usually we have different teams with the same experimental setup trying to reproduce some already produced results. But by replicability, we are talking about a situation that different teams with different experimental setup try to have the same results. One of barriers on the way of having reproducible result is non-deterministic introducing factors, or ND. In the case of machine learning, any change during machine learning lifecycle that directly or indirectly affect the training or inference result due to some non-deterministic behavior is called NDIF. In the case of ML-based systems, machine learning, software engineering, and computer science may have their own NDIFs. In this figure, we illustrate various sources of non-determinism in machine learning. There are three different root causes for NDIFs: floating point operations, versions, and randoms. Floating point operations may affect the trading model and hardware. Versions may affect the runtime environment, the software packages that are used, and also the dataset. The random set may affect runtime environment, random sets, the dataset, and also model definition. About the model definition, it should be clarified that there might be some components inside the model that behave randomly, for example, dropout. Anyway, random set, data, and model definitions are artifacts, while trading model, hardware, runtime, and software contribute to the computational model, which may all affect the working flow of machine learning, from the training up to the inference of the model. NDIFs may have different empirical impact on machine learning result when we try to train or infer a model. For example, it has been shown that random sets may lead to a total failure of training procedure, or can be a source of various standard deviation from 0.1 to 0.7% for different models. On the other side, data ordering can lead to up to 3% different accuracy ranges. However, if you have no control on NDIF, it has been shown that a standard deviation can vary from 0.8 to 2.6%. Also, there are some other effects of NDIF. For example, uncontrollable implementation level NDIF may lead up to 145% running time differences. However, each NDIF can incur loss or gain in performance or running time that can impact the experiments. Also, machine learning model can suffer from a big variance of performance due to NDIFs. To have a reproducible result during machine learning experiments, we need to control non-determinism introducing factors. Therefore, in this paper, we introduce ReproduceML, a novel toolset to minimize NDIFs while executing a training procedure of machine learning models. So, using ReproduceML, one can compare various training procedures with the same conditions. These conditions are controlled data split and data ordering inside dataset, also controlled random weight initialization of neural networks, and controlled software versions for running environments. ReproduceML consists of two parts, client and server. On the client side, you are able to set configuration for random process determinism according to the options provided by machine learning framework. You can use different machine learning framework inside ReproduceML, TensorFlow, PyTorch, or Cross. Moreover, on the client side, you can initialize model weights, weights of neural networks deterministically. On the server side, you can save data for client runs. For example, you can save seed information or metrics computed for each run. Moreover, there are some options for the data. You can split and order data according to a specific configuration and offer them to client runs. One could imagine different use cases for ReproduceML. By controlling random seeds and also data split ordering, ReproduceML will successfully minimize the variance inside machine learning experiments. So it can be very helpful for comparing models against each other fairly. For example, to measure their robustness and stability, or to automate fair comparison of various production models before deployment. Principally, according to its definition, its use cases should be ubiquitous. In the rest of this presentation, I will introduce you a specific use case of ReproduceML. We have applied ReproduceML to measure the impact of bugs inside PyTorch as a famous machine learning framework. The goal is to apply ReproduceML in a practical setting to measure how bugs or potential bugs inside a machine learning framework can affect machine learning experiments while we are controlling other NDIFs. To collect some bugs, first we inspected bug fix section of various release notes from PyTorch repository over GitHub. Then we identify pull requests leading to those bug fixes. Then we filter out bugs according to some inclusion and exclusion criteria. Finally, we built two different versions for each potential bug, a buggy version of the framework and a corrected or fixed version of the framework. Then, using ReproduceML, we have run two sets of experiments, one with buggy, one with corrected version. Then we analyze the result to see while we are controlling NDIFs, is there any major difference between these two versions? To select bugs, we have a specific criteria. We have rejected a bug if it causes a compilation or runtime error because we are looking for silent bugs. Moreover, if the bug is caused by end-user code, we have also rejected it because we are looking for bugs inside machine learning framework, not client application that are using the framework. Moreover, we rejected the bug if it triggered by CPU or it would not affect our selected machine learning models to be tested. Also, we have rejected the bug if they would require some non-standard configuration, for example, a tensor dimension with more than 1 million tensors. In our study, we focused on particular version of PyTorch, newer than 1.0.0 and older than 1.6.0. We have successfully extracted 737 bugs from GitHub repository of PyTorch. But after applying selection criteria, actually we left with 439 bugs. Out of them, we have successfully classified 115 bugs as silent and with some potential impact on the performance of machine learning experiments. We experimented with 21 of those bugs. At the end, we left with 18 potential bugs that have successfully completed our experiments. Let's assume that we have three consecutive commits, A, B, and C. Since we know that B is a bug fixing commit, we assume that the bug X that introduced in A is fixed by commit B. So we have two different versions of PyTorch, a buggy version A and fixed version B. Therefore, we follow all the build process with the same dependencies to build two different versions of PyTorch, buggy and corrected, as indicated with red and blue in the slides. Now, for each potential bug, we have two different versions of PyTorch, corrected and buggy. To reveal the impact of bug, we need to have some identical experiments with both versions. So we run our experiments on the same hardware using the same random seed and data splits, which are controlled by ReproduceML. For each experiment, we have calculated accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 metrics. Then we have used non-paired version of statistical test of Wilcoxon to investigate the significance of results. All our experiments are done using VGX model, which is a deep convolutional neural network for image classification. For dataset, we have used C14, which is a well-known benchmark. All the results are averaged over 50 identical runs. During each run, a model has been trained for 30 epochs. In this table, you can see the p-values for our final 18 bugs. All but one of them are not statistically significant at the confidence level of 95%. We believe that the only bug that has shown a statistically significant result might be an outlier, but further investigation is required. On the right, we have illustrated the distribution of standard deviation of metrics across all experiments. Since the difference is pretty small, one can conclude that ReproduceML is successful in controlling the impact of NDIFs on ML experiments. On the left, you can see the different metrics for the only bug that has a statistically significant result. In this figure, we can conclude that different behavior are shown by buggy and corrected version. We think that the most important threat to validity of our result is we are not sure whether the bug is triggered or not. To do so, we can use some tracing tools, making sure that the bug is triggered inside the buggy version. Moreover, there are some uncontrollable NDIFs, like floating point operation. For this, we can see for such options in the machine learning frameworks as a future work. To be concluded, in this presentation, I present you a novel tool which is called ReproduceML as a way to minimize the effect of non-deterministic introducing factors in machine learning experiments to enhance the reproducibility of results. Well, thank you for your attention, and please let us know your question or comments.